What's up, my beautiful people? This is your boy Stefan, your Afro-Grenadian ambassador. I welcome you all back to my channel, to all my subscribers, viewers, channel members. I appreciate you. And don't forget to watch all the ads that are placed on my videos. Well, in today's video, my friends, there are growing calls by African and Caribbean leaders, telling the UK to pay reparations, and unless these demands are not met, they will not remain silent. They will continue to, raise the issue about reparations. Well, guys, we will listen to some of the Caribbean leaders and African leaders of what they had to say about reparations. Mia Mutley will be the first runner-up. She has always been at the forefront when it comes to reparations. So let's take a listen to what Mia Mutley said about reparations.
And these conversations may offend some, but they ought not to, because we are mature. And we must have the capacity to have mature conversations because we are not children. And that ability to have conversations, even when we are directly complicit, must never escape us.
So this is Mia Mutley on reparations. She have always been a forerunner when it comes to reparation. And she's saying that this is a conversation that we cannot avoid discussing because, it is something that we need to discuss. It is something that needs to be done. And she believed that reparation must happen. And these were her words to, the UK and others who were involved in the transatlantic slave trade, that we must address the issue and we must meet the demands. Let's hear the Ghanaian president, President Nana Adofo, and what he had to say about reparation. This was a recent report coming out of Ghana concerning reparations.
Financial reparations are long overdue, Ghana's president said on Tuesday, as compensation for the transatlantic slave trade. Nana Akufo-Addo was speaking on the first day of a reparations conference in Accra.
No amount of money can restore the damage caused by the transatlantic slave trade and its consequences, which have spanned many centuries. But surely, this is a matter that the world must confront and can no longer ignore.
Advocates have long called for reparations or other ways to make amends for slavery. The movement has recently gained momentum amid growing demands from African and Caribbean countries. From the 15th to the 19th century, at least 12.5 million Africans were kidnapped and sold into slavery. Those who survived the brutal voyage to the Americas were forced to work on plantations under inhumane conditions, while European settlers and others profited from their labor. Togo's Prime Minister Victoire Tomega-Dogbe said the psychological trauma continues to resonate across generations.
The scars of exploitation, dispossession, and cultural erasure persist, manifesting themselves in contemporary challenges such as economic inequality, political instability, and cultural disintegration.
The four-day reparations conference is expected to produce an Africa-led action plan to push for reparatory justice. It intends to establish a committee of experts to oversee the plan's implementation and boost collaboration with the broader diaspora. But Akufo-Addo said there's something else required for the entire continent of Africa: a formal apology from European nations involved in the slave trade.
All right, so this is a report coming out from Ghana, concerning reparations. Nana Adofo, he gave a powerful speech when he was here in Grenada. He did visit us here in Grenada, and his delegates on February, February of early this year, he came to Grenada and addressed the parliament. It was a magical moment, it was a moment to behold, and he gave a powerful speech when it comes to reparations, that you know they will always be at the forefront, giving us the assurance that they will always be at the forefront, calling and pressuring the UK to for reparations. Well, we had our very own Prime Minister, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, who also spoke on reparations. He's also, Grenada is also on the forefront in demanding that reparations be paid. You know, applying pressure on the UK to meet those demands. This is what he had to say.
Reparations is basically having the world accept that slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, the plantation economies that were based on slavery was wrong, and that we need to ensure that that is acknowledged and that corrective measures is taken to treat with all of these significant negative legacies that has arisen as a result of that. I think fundamentally we have to be able to accept that slavery was a crime against humanity. It was a criminal act. We need to have justice for that, and justice takes a number of forms. Material redevelopment of the Caribbean, of Africa, is just part and parcel of that. But on a more fundamental level, it's a recognition that the black race, that Africans, that descendants of Africans, are not less than other races. In my mind, the UK wants to continue being a country that demonstrates that it upholds the values of justice, fairness, democracy, equal treatment of human beings, then to me it should be out front and apologizing for slavery. And reluctance or refusal to do so then sends the opposite message. I think that is critical to ensuring that going forward we continue to have close working relationships, and that there's a genuine sense that the colonies or the former colonies and the people who live there are viewed as equals to the former country that colonized us. There's no doubt in my mind that the future success of the UK is actually built on it remaining a multi-plural, open society. And in order for that to continue, you also have to recognize that the immigrants, the persons who are not traditionally white, are critical towards the continued success of the UK. I think the fact that Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of the UK speaks for itself. It tells you how the history of the United Kingdom and perhaps its future is so intertwined to its past in terms of its colonial history, the plurality of British society. All that comes from the fact that it once colonized India, parts of the Caribbean. We have these cultural wars which are taking place. We have these attempts to sometimes rewrite history if it's not pleasant or if it makes us feel uncomfortable. And we have to remind people. And that's why I say there's a danger in not accepting. And we deserve, frankly, the same rights as everybody else who's been subjugated or treated badly by another group.
Yes, so there you have it, our Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell of Grenada. This was his take on reparations, shortly taking up office. And what I love about our Prime Minister, the moment he came into, and he's very young, the moment he came into office, into power, he have been flying the flag of Pan-Africanism. He have been making trips to the continent, to the motherland, meeting business people, meeting leaders there, and he have always been at the forefront of connecting the Caribbean, or Grenada in particular, back to our roots, back to the motherland, and always be on the forefront. Never have shied away from calling out the UK, because it is them we have to call out, because they are the ones who colonized us. Calling out the UK to pay up. And the message of the Caribbean and African leaders, they remain the same. It remained the same, but they have been growing pressure lately, since after the visit of King Charles in the Samoa Islands, and on avoiding to directly address reparations. The African and Caribbean leaders have once again applied pressure that they must pay up. Well, I want to also feature the President Ali of Guyana. He gave a fiery address about reparations. And this is what he had to say.
Remains committed to the struggle for reparation, for the
Okay, so let
crime
me
of
play it back to the start to hear what he has to say.
my government remains committed to the struggle for reparation, for the crime of African enslavement. We demand that those who were complicit in and who profited from the trade in captive Africans and African enslavement must pay reparations. The Caribbean community has been at the forefront of demanding reparations for the descendants of enslaved Africans. Within the region, there has been a concerted effort to seek both the acknowledgement of and redress for the injustices inflicted as a result of the slave trade and slavery. It is heartening to note that the recent EU CELAC summit took significant steps forward by acknowledging slavery as a crime against humanity. Such acknowledgement is crucial to further pressing our demands for reparations.
Yes, so there you have it, President Ali of Guyana. He's also one of the persons that is at the forefront, pressuring the UK that, guys, you need to pay up. There was this attempt, many attempts by the Westerners to pressure him with difficult questions, and but President Ali have always been very much articulate in how he responds, or he respond to the questions that were posed to him when it comes to slavery, when it comes to the economy of Guyana, when it comes to reparations. And I want to congratulate him and kudos to him on that. So, guys, the issue of reparation, the struggle of reparation continues. What do you think? Let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think this issue is an ongoing issue? Do you think that reparations will be paid or not? Some people thinks that this will issue of reparation will continue to be a back and forth thing, and it will never be paid. To our African descendant people. It will never be paid. Some believe that it will happen. It will happen. It is something that that must happen. And yeah, so let me hear what are your thoughts in the comment section below. But all these pressure is coming because of the visitation of King Charles on to Samoa Island. And when he was talking about the Samoa people were also pressuring him, the UK, for reparations. They brought up the issue of reparations. And in his speech, King Charles, he he passively avoided the issue of reparations. And with all of that, the pressure from Caribbean and African leaders mainly are mounting up again, and the UK is coming under pressure. So, guys, let me know, reparation. Do you think that it is a waste of time when bringing up the issue about reparation? It is something that will never happen. What are your thoughts? I want to hear what your opinions. Do you think it will happen? Do you think that time is, we are far into time right now, that we are far gone into time? The future, the past is too far behind, that it's something that is becoming irrelevant. Do you think that reparations, the issue of reparations, is becoming irrelevant, or it is something that is still relevant, and we need to not just address it, but we need to continue advocating for reparations to be paid? And as the Ghanaian president says, no amount of money can repair the damage what colonization and slavery have done. But it is unfair that other races of people who were colonized, who were victims of colonization and slavery, were reparated. It is unfair that the colonizers themselves, after the abolishment of slavery, it was passed by law that they were compensated. Some of the colonizers received millions and even billions of euros, pounds, dollars. If you convert it into today's money, for for slavery. And it is appalling that those who owned slaves were compensated, but the slaves themselves who contributed, to the development and the well-being and the wealth of these people were not paid a penny. Some of them, um, was not given anything. There were some black people. I know there are black Americans who once used to own land. They were reparated in that sense, given land, and the land was taken away from them. So guys, the issue of reparation is an ongoing thing. So let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. But this is what the recent developments that the African and Caribbean leaders have joined as one. Is not joining, but they have joined as one voice, one people with one history, one destiny, saying that we will not remain silent on the issue. You need to pay up, or we will continue talking. We will continue making noise. We will continue being a nuisance to you until the demands of reparations are met. So guys, that's it for me concerning reparations. It is something that we will always have to bring up. It is always something we have to bring up because it is some critics say it is unfair that everybody, the Jews, the Japanese, and many people who are victims of colonization, the Chinese, and the India, I'm not too sure about the Indians, but many of these people got reparated, but the black people did not get anything. Well, I think the Indians got reparated they were given land and stuff, but the black people, the, the black enslaved Africans were not given anything. So guys, we will stop here for today because of time. But let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. God bless you until we see you again.